Okay, so in part one, we have covered some basic concept of SSL along with the concepts of public and private key along with the certificates. Okay, and in this part, we will discuss more about the different kind of certificates. Okay, and identity and trust. So let us have a quick recap. So what we have learned in part one, suppose a user trying to access some website or a secure website using browser, for example, that the user is trying to access the website of the bank xyzbank.com. Okay. So when you access the website from your browser, okay, the request will pass through the internet or from the public network, and then it reach to the XYZ bank server, and then you get the page in front of you, right? So when your data is transferred from your browser to the XYZ bank server over the public network or internet, okay, it is encrypted with the help of your public and private key, or you can say about the key pair. It is a combination of public and private key. Okay, and once the response sent back to your browser, it is again encrypted. So basically, from the browser side, you have public key, and on the server side, you have private key. So the work of public and private key is whenever they receive the encrypted data, they have to again take it in the readable form. And whenever the data is transferred or moved on your public network, it is in the encrypted form. So when the data is passed from browser to a server, then server uses a private key to decrypt the data that has been it received from the browser, okay, which was encrypted by the public key. And same way, when the server sends data back to your browser, it is again encrypts that data with the help of its private key. And when it reaches to the browser, your browser again decrypts that with the help of public key. So this is the role of your public and private key, which is used to encrypt and decrypt your data while your data is moving on the public network. So what else? Second part is apart from your encryption, you have a identity and trust. Okay. For example, if you are, I said that you are trying to access the website of the xyzbank.com. Okay. So probably you may access some other website. Okay. Maybe some e-commerce website to buy certain kind of product, and you haven't heard about the name of that e-commerce website so far. Okay. So how you would trust that? Okay. That this is a trusted website, and the owner who is running this website and business is a trusted owner, right? So you need a certain kind of a identity of the business owner, and then certain kind of a trust, right? So for that one, the certificates come in picture. There's a third party, or we can say about the certificate authorities. Okay. Uh, those uh, uh, those release the certificates to the authority or for a particular organization after the complete verification. Okay, so whenever you access any website which is secured with the SSL, and then when we access the website, you are not getting any kind of security prompts. Okay, that means it is a trusted vendor or it is a trusted website. So public and private key is used for the encryption of your data, and identity and trust is are the certificates released by the certificate authority for an organization or for the business entity to provide a certain kind of identity and trust for the end users trying to access the website of that particular organization. Okay, so why identity and trust is required? So that no one can, or the hacker should not interpret in between the when your request is passing from the internet, or maybe they probably they would not hack any kind of a DNS, and then probably they would be acting as the xyzbank.com. So I have given you the example of xyzbank.com. So there could be probability that some hacker can hack your DNS, and then instead of sending the request to xyzbank.com, okay, they can send you their own website, okay, where they can pretend to like to be a xyzbank.com. In that case, whatever the data you will send from the browser, it will reach to the hacker, right? So avoid such kind of a things. You need a certain kind of a identity and trust. So let us understand server certificate, root certificate, and intermediate certificate in very simple way. What exactly is server certificate? What is exactly a root certificate and intermediate certificate? Okay. So let us suppose that Mr. A is reached to Mr. B and he is saying that, okay, could you please give me some job, please? But Mr. B don't know Mr. A. Okay, so he can say that, sorry, I don't know you. How can I trust you? How can I give you a job when I don't know you? Right? So probably I need certain kind of a trust on you before I should give you a job. Okay. So Mr. A can give the reference of Mr. C by saying, hey, Mr. C gave me your reference and here is the reference letter. Okay. So Mr. B don't know Mr. A, but he know the Mr. C very well. So he can say that, oh yeah, I know him. He's a good person. If we trust you, then I can trust you. Right. So what is happening here is that Mr. A is reaching to Mr. B for a job, but with the reference of Mr. C. So Mr. B is directly don't know the Mr. A, right? But he know the Mr. C. So after taking a certain kind of a trust of Mr. C, he can give job to Mr. A, right? So Mr. B is the authority who is running the business, okay? And then Mr. A is reaching there to get a job, but he is giving a reference of Mr. C, right? So in that case, Mr. B trusts Mr. A because he trusts Mr. C, right? So in that case, Mr. C is you can define as a root, right? And then Mr. A you can define as an intermediate, and then Mr. B you can define as a server, right? Because server I'm saying because Mr. B is the owner of an organization, okay, who's in the business, and then you can provide the job to Mr. A, and Mr. A reach to Mr. B, but Mr. B no to Mr. C, and Mr. A is giving the reference of Mr. C. So in that case, the top entity, Mr. C, is act as a root, and Mr. A will act as an intermediate, and Mr. B will act as a server, right? So there are three kind of entities there. So that means there is an authority, certificate authority who give the root certificates. There is another intermediate authority who give the intermediate certificates, and then third one is they release a server certificate which contain the complete end-to-end information of the owner who is running the business along with the website address of the owner. Okay. So in that case, we will have three certificates for the C authority. One is the root certificate, second is your intermediate certificate, and third is your server certificate. So you will always get three kind of certificates when you go for SSL most of the time. Okay. Sometimes you will not get intermediate certificate, that you will directly get the root or server. But as of today, most of the certificate authorities is providing you the root certificate, intermediate certificate, and your server certificate. So these three certificates you have to import in your e-store. Okay, so when you are importing, first you import your root certificate, second import your intermediate certificate, and then third import your server certificate. Okay, and there could be multiple intermediate. How it is? Maybe Mr. A don't know Mr. C, but Mr. A come for the job with the reference of Mr. D, right? But Mr. D know Mr. C. So here A is directly don't know Mr. C, but Mr. A come with the reference of Mr. D who know to Mr. C. So now again Mr. B can trust on Mr. A because of the reference of Mr. C, right? But Mr. A got the reference from Mr. D, not directly from Mr. C. So in that case, Mr. A and Mr. D will act as an intermediate, right? So here we will have a two intermediate. So in that case, or in such kind of situations, you will get four certificates. One is your root certificate, two intermediate certificate, and one server certificate. So in all the cases, there should be only one server certificate, there should be only one root certificate, and there could be one or more than one intermediate certificate. So this is the very basic concept of your server, root, and intermediate certificates. Let us see a demo. Okay. So here I have given the demo of your hdfcbank.com website. So you can access any of the secure website. Okay. And when you access the website, okay, browser, you will see a lock icon on the left corner of the website name. Okay. Just click on that lock. Then you will see connection is secure. That means this connection is secure. That means it is configured with the SSL. All the transaction from this website to the server of the business owner will be encrypted. Just click on connection is secure. Okay, and then you will see a connection is secure. You will see a display badge. Okay, for your certificate. Just click on that display badge. You will see the information of the certificate issued by and the valid from. This certificate, this is a server certificate which has been issued to hdfcbank.com by GeoTrust. Okay, so the certificate is issued on the DNS www.hdfcbank.com, issued by GeoTrust EVRSSCA 2018, and this certificate is valid till 5/1/2023. In most of the case, or almost all cases, the server certificate is released with a validity of 1 year, and end of every year, this certificate has to be renewed. Okay. You have to pay certain fees for that one, and you will get the new certificate, and then you have to again import new certificate in your key store. Okay. So this is the information of your server certificate. Okay. Now click on the certification path. Okay, once you will click on certification path, you will see the information as shown on the screen. The first top entity is DigiCert. Second is their GeoTrust EVRSSCA 2018, and third is their website name. Okay, so that means the top one DigiCert is the root certificate, or you can say it is an authority who released the root certificate, and GeoTrust EV RSA CA 2018 is the other entity who released the intermediate certificate to the bank, hdfcbank.com. The first one is your server certificate, and once you click on certificate bar, you can see your root certificate and your intermediate certificate. Okay, and this is the website to it is issued. Thanks for watching this video and stay tuned for some more interesting videos. Thank you very much.